This program is sponsored by Auckland City Council. 56,827. The number of businesses in Auckland City. That's 15% of all New Zealand businesses. Auckland City Council improves Fanshawe Street to make the Northern Busway a success. More reliable bus services and reduced travel times between Auckland CBD and the North Shore are expected to follow the recent opening of the Northern Busway. Councillor Ken Bagley, Chairman of Auckland City Council's Transport Committee, says the busway and the Council's improvements to Fanshawe Street are important elements in reducing travel times and improving connections across Auckland City and the region for public transport.
The new busway on the North Shore, and that of course does involve more of the North Shore City Councils and Transit. Auckland is sitting there looking at it, and we certainly support it, but we will be interested to see what use that that investment gives, because we are interested in the whole bus lane area, and we do want to make sure that we do get an economic return for it.
New Zealand's first dedicated two-way purpose-built busway that took 10 years to build at a cost of $300 million runs alongside State Highway 1 between Constellation Drive in North Shore City and north of the Harbour Bridge. To contribute to the busway's success, the Council widened, resurfaced and extended Fanshawe Street bus lanes, as well as improving footpaths, bus stops and pedestrian safety. Fanshawe Street in the CBD is a significant part of the busway route, linking the Northern Motorway to Auckland's CBD. Work on the Council's Central Connector project starts next month on sections of Park Road and Beach Roads and Anzac Avenue. The project will see bus lanes installed between Britomart and Kaiba Pass Road, improving connections with other services and between Newmarket and the CBD.
So how do you personally see the Northern Busway, the $300 million project, from your perspective?
Personally, I think that you do need to look at it and maybe contemplate the multi-occupancy vehicle approach to it, because the feedback that one gets is that there aren't a lot of buses going along there. Therefore, for $300 million, you aren't getting a particularly good return at this point.
Mm-hmm. What could be done to, are you suggesting that some feasibility study should have been conducted before embarking on that project?
People who know more about these things than me certainly believe that if you create the busway and you create a convenient way of using the busway, then usage will follow. So I guess we do have to give it time and to make sure that we explore all those possibilities. So an awful lot of research was done prior to committing to that amount of expenditure. So we do have to give it a fair turn. But as I say, society is entitled to return on that money. So if multi-occupancy vehicle usage becomes part of it, then so be it.
Mm-hmm. Expansion of Fanshawe Street. Was it necessitated because Northern Busway came into picture? Because I understand there was some work done on Fanshawe Street about a couple of years back.
There has been a lot of work done on Fanshawe Street. There is a major capex item set down for 2016, which is a $50 million project, but it's a long way out. And I think that was creating an underpass along Fanshawe Street to avoid a block, I think, around Galway Street. but that is actually, as I say, up to 2016. There's nothing on the agenda for the next couple of years in terms of Fanshawe Street. All that work, I'm certain, has been done.
Now, as a result of the expansion on Fanshawe Street, are there some benefits in facilitating the Northern Busway to properly connect to the Auckland CBD out here?
Yes, I guess it would be an improved connection. I'm not quite sure that the hold-up, if there's any timing difference, whether that hold-up is around that intersection, and therefore that intersection becomes critical to getting a meaningful improvement in travel times. I suspect at the moment that improving the travel times are probably more fundamental, and we'll get back to how buses use the bus lane and getting people familiar with the way that whole concept works.
What about the patronage level figures? Are you getting some feedback on that?
No, I haven't got those. I've only read really what's in the paper. Yeah, as I say, it's Transit put all this together, and it's the North Shore City Council that has got the major stake in it. So Auckland City Council certainly are very, very interested in the concept and interested in it because, particularly I guess, if we get a greater Auckland, then everybody will be Aucklanders, so we do have an interest in it.
What sort of financial figures we are talking about with the expansion of Fanshawe Street?
Well, if we're talking about the same thing, the major project that Auckland City does have on its 10-year plan, and as I say, it's for 2016, is a $50 million project down around Galway Street. I'm pretty sure it's Galway Street.
So, what sort of benefits one is talking about accruing out of that?
Well, it's the same argument with any of these things. They're talking about getting a quicker trip from one point to another, and having less cars on the road, which takes away the need to invest enormous amounts of money in improved roads to allow more cars to get across. So it's a chicken and egg really. If you do get a better deal with public transport, then hopefully people will use public transport.
Now, with the recent announcement of Transit NZ in relation to Waterview connection, your thoughts on that?
That's certainly been on the agenda for years at the Auckland City Council to complete that western ring route. And interestingly, from Auckland's point of view, it takes a bit of pressure off the central corridor because it, the central motorway corridor, because it does, when that's completed, it does create an alternative way for people from the north to travel to the south and also to get to the airport. It may be slightly longer going via that motorway route, and there may be issues using that route during absolute peak times. But if you can travel to the airport the whole way by motorway and you come from the shore, then in the immediate future, if that State Highway 20 connection can get completed, that does give that alternative, because people from the north at the moment have a pretty shocking approach to the airport. They end up going through Epsom and all through city roads, and you've got to think that that's a pretty serious thing that we need to address. So completing it has been a critical element of the roading plans for Auckland, so we fully support it. As for a deep tunnel, well, it's 100 people, there's 100 and 150 people being affected in terms of their homes, as against 400 to 500, 160 versus, I understand, over 500 through anything else. Sure, there's an argument about the economic benefit of spending all that extra money on a deep tunnel, although I gather that Transit certainly have discovered some geological features that mean that tunnelling is maybe not quite as horrendously expensive as would have been originally thought. So there is a study out there that says that the cost of the tunnelling option is around about the same as a sophisticated cut and cover option. So from a cost point of view, it makes sense. There are some issues for the city in terms of there's one interchange that won't be in a deep tunnel route, which makes it slightly less convenient for people in that area to get onto this thing. But those are things that we need to look at. We really, more and more details are coming out every day, and the transport officers certainly are looking at those things on a continual basis. But fundamentally, Auckland are 100% behind it.
But at a time where everybody is talking about the need for the cars to be taken off the motorways, here we are talking about, motorists staying on the road.
But I think
than concentrating on public transportation.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think it's a dream to think that everybody is going to go everywhere by public transport. That's just not a realistic proposition in Auckland, and having that link missing is such a critical part of the total plan that you've got to complete that link, because it is about getting the balance. I mean, it's not a matter of saying everybody's going to go by public transport. Auckland is a fantastic city to move around and do business in, and one of the reasons is that you've got a number of different business centres, and people will move between those business centres by private transport. So you do need to cater for those. It's not a simple question of saying everybody's going to go by public transport. We do need to get a balance, and completing that State Highway 20 link is just an essential bit that must be completed.
How realistic is the partnership that Michael Cullen spoke about in realizing that project of Waterview Connection, the PPP partnership? There are some dissenting factors emanating from the Greens Party and the National Party.
Yeah, I commend the government for a pretty brave decision. I mean, maybe if they spend $50 million on that tunnelling machine, that tunnelling may become an option elsewhere in the country. Because
it's a new technology being employed for the first time.
Yes, and well, by the press announcements, it appears as if they're going to buy that machine. So I guess it doesn't wear itself out in that one tunnel. And you've got to say that there would be a number of, if you take Italy as an example, they don't sort of cut the landscape apart the way we do when they're building major highways. They just dig a tunnel through the hill. And if that improves the landscape, there's a bit of a plus for it. But in terms of the partnership, the funding, gee, I don't know. Well, let's just see where that all goes. I guess I've travelled a little bit in Australia, and if you travel from the Melbourne airport into the city, I think you go through three different toll gates. Now it's all automatic, and the little thing in your car goes ding, and there's another $1. But as against that, the people in Melbourne really appreciate the convenience of being able to travel by a motorway the whole way from the airport into the inner city, whereas before it was a 3/4 hour trip through suburban roads. So all those things, will get taken into account, and who knows, goodness, this thing could be 10 years out anyway. But I guess you've got to look at them. I'm not saying it has to be that way. You must have alternative roads. You've got to look at how fair it is to the people in the local region and things like that, but you've got to look at it.
This program was sponsored by Auckland City Council. 9,461. The number of businesses in the Central Business District. 78,480. The number of people who work in those businesses.